Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today, I will be your host, and welcome to You and the Law. I have with me a very interesting guest, a very important one, someone I would call a friend, a brother, right now. I got to know him, and I found out that he is actually a very great person. And so, today, I am bringing this guest to you, and we will be unpacking and we will be talking about something and a very important issue that is going on in the country at the moment. You've seen all over social media the current issue between His Excellency, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, and the now very popular Lieutenant A.M. Yerima. Is that it?
Yeah.
Without wasting much time, without further ado, I would like to invite to the stage Mohammed Alfa Mohammed. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Muhammad Alfa Muhammad. Just like introduced, I am an activist. I could say that, and then I am an advocate for good governance. Then I do one or two things that has to do with holding government transparent and accountable to their civic duty per se. And also, I am currently in my law school training. That's a little about me.
Wow. Well, before we get to the things you're doing at the moment, the things you have been doing, your name seems very unique. Mohammed Alpha Mohammed. What is the history? What is there something? I mean, it sounds like a nickname.
Yeah, the Alpha is my great grandfather's name. My grandfather's name. Let me put that. It's a family name. The Alpha is a family name. So I have been named after my grandfather, who is the Alpha. So I am Muhammad Alpha. My father is also Muhammad Alpha, and then my grandfather is also Muhammad Alpha. So it's a generational name, and then everyone in my family has that Alpha
Mhm.
in his name. And then the Alpha, it takes two meaning here. We have the Arabic Alpha, but it's not Alpha; it is Alpha, meaning someone God has forgiven.
What is the difference?
Yes, that's the Alpha from the Arabic. It's a Quran verse, Alpha Allah,
Mhm.
someone Allah has forgiven. And then also we have Afa, which is from the Yoruba terminology for an Islamic scholar.
I think I've heard that one before.
Yes. So mostly you find Alpha very popular within the Yoruba race because they respect a very scholarly person and they call him Alpha.
Huh.
So
So are you a scholarly, an Islamic scholar? Are you
mm,
also,
no,
apart from being a learning colleague, are you
I
also
came
an
from a
Islamic scholar?
family that my grandfather is was an Islamic scholar,
Yes.
and then my father is an Islamic scholar currently. He teaches. We have in my house we have over 500 students. Apart from other places, my father teaches the Islamic religion.
So based on what you've said right now, it means like it's a generational thing, it's a
Yeah,
family thing.
yeah, it
So
is.
if that is the case, do you plan to be an Islamic scholar at any point in your life?
Yeah, that would be very one of the beautiful things I should be able to achieve in my life, and
Okay.
I look up to my both parents, father and mother.
Mhm.
Yes, I guess ever since I was growing up, I have been taking charge of the younger ones in the Islamic. We call it Islamia, that is the Arabic school.
Yes.
So it's something that is already part of me, and I won't deny the fact I want to follow the footstep of my parents.
Well, you heard the man. Now, one more question before we go to the topic of discussion for today. Um, you have this Islamic scholar, history in your family already. Why exactly are you getting into law? I mean, why have you gotten into law? Why did you get into law? You should have just, since it's a very unique thing. It's, yeah. So why the law?
Yeah, very importantly, I have wanted being a military person. Yes. Uh,
Okay. So you wanted to be a soldier.
yeah, I wanted being a soldier,
Is it the army, the navy, the air force? Wait.
the army per se,
Okay.
because my grandfather's younger brother, who is now late, was an army person, 63 NA. He fought during the Civil War. Um, And then I grew up with this mindset. I love everything about the army,
Maybe the
but
discipline.
yes. But there was something my father saw in me, and he called me, sat me down, and then told me details about why he felt I should better study law and change my major from science to art. I was a science student doing well. Uh, I did. I was in Tradoc, that is Training and Doctrine Command of Nigerian Army Barracks, where
Where is that
in
located?
Mina,
In Mina,
yes,
Niger
so
State.
Niger State. So I was a student in the Army Barracks, Army School there. That is the Army Day. So the passion was after Army Day, I'm just going to ND, or the kind of the vibes that come with seeing students around. And Tradokna is one of the high rate Army barracks. But my dad changed that notion and perspective, and I felt yes, I should study law from that day. I went in my SS2, going to 3, I guess, SS2 3. I converted my major from science to art.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be taken to the guidance and counseling unit just to ask me, why are you leaving science when you are doing well? I
And
passed,
going to art.
yes, I'm going to art, and I told them, I have been told if you want to become a lawyer, you must major in arts and do well in literature. Though from my primary days, I am good in literature.
So why exactly did you go into sciences if you were good in literature? Which means, I mean, we can imply that you liked literature.
Yeah,
So
yes, one thing is you sit for exams before going to SS1.
true,
Yes,
that's the Nigerian
in the
system.
Nigerian system, and then if you do well, they consider you already for a science person.
So you didn't get to choose
Yes, and I didn't get to choose. I was picked to science because I performed well in my
the grades.
in the grades of my entry exam to the school.
Mm.
So, and it is considered people who are in A and B class as the very smart ones. So, and that's science class for you.
So do you okay, fine. I think I've seen that before, right? I've heard it so many times. It's not the topic of discussion for today. So do you
Yeah.
agree with that submission that people in A and B, which is the sciences, they are much smarter than lawyers?
For now, no. Then I will have agreed.
So what changed?
What changed is I find out it had to do with what people are measuring at,
Okay.
people what course people are picking, and what course people are studying.
Mhm.
And this was one of the grievous mistakes so many people have done,
Okay.
going to science, and
Because of that
because of
notion.
notion that when you are doing well, you are not to waste your brain in other majors, science or commercial. You only stick to the art. Because I could tell you, I was doing well in physics, chemistry, biology, and almost every week we do what we call screening exams.
Okay.
You sit for tests.
Like a continuous assessment kind
Yes,
of thing.
but a result will come out the next week, and if you don't do well, you will change. They'll change you from A and B back to C and D.
So which means that there's an issue with the Nigerian education system.
Yes, there is, seriously.
Well, this is not the topic of conversation for today, but from what he has said so far, if you are listening to this, wherever you are, what time of day it is, and you're young, try to read, listen to people, change your mindset. Listening to people would help you do that, so you don't waste your time. But I think that your education in the sciences did help you in
Yeah,
one way,
it
right?
did. It did.
Okay, now you heard the man. Now to the topic of conversation, the topic of discussion for today. The minister of the FCT, the lieutenant, the naval officer, land. In Nigeria, land is a very serious conversation.
Yes.
It's land means power.
Yes.
Before we ask any further questions, what is your opinion on the ongoing debates? I mean, people are divided, but let's forget about what everyone says. What is your general opinion? What comes to your mind?
What comes to my mind is one I feel the common Nigerian sense of abuse of authority and power, and also abuse of the due process of law entirely. And if you ask me outrightly, I will tell you the Honorable Minister, His Excellency, so Wike, who is a lawyer and a life bencher, was totally wrong, like totally wrong. And I categorize these as sorting or resolving to self-help in this situation entirely.
What do you mean self-help?
Yes, meaning by breaching the due process of if someone who is now denying you performing your constitutional or legislative duty, you are not supposed to take action. You approach a court of law. That's why we have the court.
Okay.
And this is a man who is a lawyer, not just a lawyer, someone who has climbed the ladder to be a life bencher.
I mean, the idea of this show, the idea of this, whatever we call this, is that there are lots of people who do not understand these terminologies. So I would beg your indulgence, I'd crave your indulgence. Could you please explain these terms in the best possible way that you'd be able to do that? For
Okay.
instance, a life bencher. Who is a life bencher? What does it mean?
One is, when we say a lawyer, let's start from there first. When we say a lawyer, is someone who has passed through degree, that is, he was awarded LLB,
Okay.
that is a degree in law.
Okay.
And then he was enrolled in the Nigerian Law School, that is the professional school that trains someone as barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
Okay.
And then also someone considered to be a life bencher, that is the body of people who now consider people fit and proper, worthy enough, with character and learning, to be admitted into the learned and most noble profession.
Okay. From what you have said now, it means that Barrister Nyesom Wike, no, let's call him by his current title,
His Excellency. Yeah.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory,
Yes.
Nyesom Wike.
Yes.
He is someone who says yes or no. One of the people who decides who should become lawyers
Yes.
and who should not.
Yes.
So which means that by implication, the standards that we should hold him to are super high.
So very high. Yes.
All right. What about self-help? I mean, you were explaining self-help before.
Yes. Let me just give a recap of the narration from what the media has shown to us. We have the report by Arise TV, TVC News Channels TV, who were all physically there. His Excellency always move with media, sophisticated medias in the country, TVC channels, among others, have captured these videos. For those who have not seen it, can see them there. One is the land in question in Gudu within the Abuja here is owned by AZ Gambo, retired.
Allegedly. Because at this moment there is a conflict.
But he's in possession currently.
Okay.
AZ Gambo, the former Vice Admiral, that is the highest peak of rank in the Navy. That he was the former Chief of Naval Staff under President Buhari, the late Buhari. He retired in 2023. Was allocated that place in 2020. Okay. You get that?
He was allocated. Did he buy it?
Yes, he bought the land.
Okay.
He bought the land in 2020.
Okay.
And allegedly, he has all the papers.
Well, from the videos, they say they have
all the papers.
All of that.
So he was now having construction on the land. He was now working on the land.
Okay.
And then the FCDE came to say, okay, where is your papers?
FCDA or FCTA, which one is it?
That's Federal Capital Development or whatsoever they call it.
Okay.
So came to say, where are your papers? You get it? And from the information available is that they showed the paper, and we are later told that the minister of the FCT has revoked whatsoever title to the land.
Now we are getting deep into the conversation.
Yes.
Before we go that far,
yes,
right? I know of some title documents.
Yes.
Okay. I know of some rights to properties. Now, for the sake of the viewers, what are the legal rights, the legal titles that you must have as a citizen of as long as you have ownership, you claim to have ownership. Can you claim to have ownership as long as you're an occupant? You know, what rights can you have in land? Now, what kind of papers do you need to have as far as Nigeria is concerned?
Okay, let me do this quickly. One, you need to understand that in Nigeria, we have a legislative enactment that deals with this, which is called the Land Use Act 1978.
Okay.
Which vested powers on the governor. All lands are now vested in governors as trustees.
Okay.
Of which in Abuja, by virtue of the FCT Act.
Okay.
FCT Act now,
Federal Capital Territory
Act of 1976.
Okay.
Removes FCT and says FCT entirely is an urban place, and all the authority of FCT is vested in the hands of the president.
Okay, the president of the
Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right.
And then the president now is having the minister of FCT representing his authority in the FCT.
Okay.
So now all the rights granted by the governor is now vested in the FCT minister.
So now the FCT minister is somewhat of a governor.
Yes, he is, but in his own nomenclature, he represents the authority of the president, the executive authority of the president under Section 5 of the
So if
Constitution.
he represents the authority of the president, so what is the difference between his power and the power of a governor?
The difference is he doesn't act as the alpha and omega outrightly directly. The FCT minister receives
The orders
order from the president. Yes.
Delegated legislation.
Yes,
so the
exactly.
president says, okay, go ahead and do this, and that's it. I give you
Yes.
this power.
Yes.
And that.
Yes.
Right.
So now we continue. So under the Land Use Act, Section 1 of the Land Use Act takes over all radical titles of land. You get it?
Can you please explain radical titles?
Radical title is before the coming promulgation of the Land Use Act, community and family have rights over land,
Okay.
and they do as they wishes with these lands.
Okay.
So now the radical title was taken over, meaning they have no authority to decide how it is being done anymore.
Okay.
The governor is now in charge, but the lands are placed in the governor's hand as a trustee.
So if
then you need to understand, that the FCT, nobody will now lay claim to land in FCT because there were compensation paid to the indigent the residents of FCT as at then.
So as at then, yes. What time are we talking about?
Meaning now? The time when the FCT here was declared as the Federal Capital Territory.
Which was? Well, do you know the particular year when the FCT was declared as a
around 1978 when we have this FCT Act?
The FCT Act.
Yes,
okay.
That is the authority backing the FCT as the Federal Capital Territory.
Okay. Now, what are the implications? I mean, I want you to recap. Take it one step at a time.
Yes.
Right. So, from what you've said so far,
yes,
the things I've been able to pick out are simple. The FCT minister has power just because the governor, the president of the country, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, delegated power to him and said, go ahead and act in my place. Correct? Now, that's number one. Number two, from the FCT Act, which created the FCT, all the lands in the FCT now belong to the president, the federal government.
Yes.
So no single person, no individual can claim to have ownership of land in the FCT because it is held by the president or the federal government. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, what are the powers of the FCT minister? What can he do and cannot do?
Yes, he has so much power. He's the alpha and omega over the lands in the FCT. He allocates, he revokes. You seek his consent when you want to alienate the title given to you, and he gives title under the.
This is why I don't like lawyers. What is alienation?
Okay, when we say alienation, we mean when you want to now transfer your title, i.e., when you want to sell it, when you want to mortgage, when you want to pledge it, or you want it to serve as security to loan or whatsoever.
Okay.
You now seek the consent. So the alienation in the legal term is when you want to do all this mentioned. It is now you are alienating the right given to you by the FCT minister.
So basically, you want to transfer the rights that you have in land to somebody else.
To somebody.
All right.
Yes, you get it. So he takes charge, he supervises, he controls, he manages as the FCT minister. Controls, manage, supervise.
Let me cut you there.
Yes.
When you were giving your opinion, you made a specific mention of the fact that the FCT minister was wrong.
Was wrong.
Now, you're saying now that the FCT minister, one of his powers is to supervise land.
Yes.
Can't we say that what happened was supervision of land?
The FCT minister was not there to supervise. For those of us who have watched what truly transpired from the videos available, there were already the tractors, machines already for demolition.
Okay.
For demolition of the structure, the construction ongoing.
Okay.
The tractors came before the minister was there. The FCDTA or FDCTA, they call it, the Federal Capital Development
Authority or something.
Yes, were there already. You get it? They came
to demolish
the property because construction was ongoing. These people still claim to have title and they do not agree. The Nigerian time will not agree with saying you've revoked.
Okay.
So When they came and they met the young lieutenant there with his men, the young lieutenant was there to safeguard the property. And they said, no, you will not have access to this property.
Okay.
Now they went back and report to the minister. And then the minister came to now lead, as powerful minister is, to now lead.
You say that in a very, I don't know, it's in an ironical way.
As the overlord.
Yes.
He is now coming as the overlord to say, no, nobody. And you could see even from the video, he was outrightly saying, as far as I'm the minister, you cannot.
Does he not have rights to say that? That is not that. You see,
in the due process of law, he has. But when the due process of law is not being followed, you cannot. The law will not protect him.
So, what is the due process here?
Okay, the due process here is when these people say they are not living from this place, the minister should now approach a court to enforce. The court should now give order to say, hey, you, after listening to the Federal Capital Territory Minister on so and so saying he has revoked your land. But now, let's go back a little again. The revocation, was it done in the public interest? Was it done on the due process of law? You get it? What is the due process of law? You give notice first.
All right.
You do fair hearing.
So what you're saying is, if he had given notice to them, like saying, hey, hello, I am coming to demolish your
structure. You're right. You said, okay, here is a notice for revocation, and you state reasons why you are now revoking. And then you also give them a good time to now vacate.
So reasonable time.
Reasonable time.
Do we have a definition of what reasonable time is?
We don't have a definition of reasonable time, but in the context of what judicial interpretation has given, we look at 3 months.
Okay.
And then also at some point we say what it will amount to reasonable time will have to do with justification of a reasonable man to say there was a reasonable time given. All of these we are not given. If you look at the context entirely, from the time of in which the FCT were coming to harass contractors. You get it?
Yes.
They were coming to harass the engineers on site.
Yes.
And that's why the owner, who is the former who is the former CNS, the chief of naval staff, has to now give order to his ADC and chief security, which is the young man, to come and safeguard his property. And then, as a chief of naval staff, he is entitled to 1, security. Secondly, protection of his own self,
yes,
his family, and his property.
Okay.
And that is why the military were there. The military were not there because it is a pure civil matter.
Okay.
But no, he was there to protect the property of his own boss. It's an order. You get it? Now back, let me take you back a little so that our viewers understand how these things operate.
Yes.
Nobody is denying the fact the minister lacks the power to supervise, assuming he's there to supervise.
If he was there, so we're agreeing that he can go physically to supervise.
He can go physically to supervise, but the law is also clear. When he's going there to supervise and he is denied access, he doesn't seek self-help. He doesn't resolve to self-help and say, I must supervise. No. You get it?
Yes.
And then second phase of this is, if you check the case of, we have bilateral decision in the case of Ojukwu versus Lagos military government,
okay,
where when Ojukwu was back from his asylum after
when he went on exile,
exile, when he came back, he wanted taking possession of his own property, and then he was the military governor of Lagos, as I then said, no. Ojukwu went to court. The matter was in court, and the military was still insisting that they are now in charge. And the court was very clear, outrightly to the Supreme Court, that no, you don't seek self-help. You approach the court first and allow the court to decide. And that is why we have the court. This is not an animal kingdom.
By virtue of what transpired yesterday.
Yes.
I mean, there are so many things to put into consideration.
Yeah, okay.
If you check the social media at the moment,
yes,
there are lots of people with different opinions. There's the opinion that the lieutenant should be punished, right? I mean, before we go any further, what would you say to those people who are clamoring? I mean, there are those who support his actions. There are those who say he did not have any right to stop the FCT minister, right? Now, his actions, does it amount to insubordination? We have to put it, balance it at the moment. He's the ADC to the former CNS, correct?
Yes.
Now, the minister of the FCT, he is given an order. Because if he had left that place for the minister of the FCT yesterday, probably he would have been court-martialed.
Okay, let me put this very clear. One is, the president has three powers.
Okay.
The president and commander-in-chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has three powers under Section 5 of the Constitution.
Okay.
One is the executives, where he has the
implementation of.
Yes, he's the head of the executive arm.
All right.
He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's also the mirror of Nigerian foreign policy.
All right.
He represents Nigerian foreign policy. In these three categories, the president can only delegate two, which are the executives, the executive function of his own function, i.e., through the ministers,
all right,
departments, agencies. It is now the delegation of the president power.
Does that include delegation of his power to command the military?
No, I'm getting there.
All right.
Secondly, is the other power he can delegate is the foreign policy power. And that's why the foreign minister can go to speak on behalf of the president. The president can ask someone to represent him at the international stage.
All right.
But
I mean, we can see that through the vice president of the country.
Yes. The vice president representing at the UN, among others. But the commander-in-chief of the armed forces power cannot be delegated to anyone.
Hold it right there.
Yes.
So the president has the power to say, go to war, do this to the military.
Yes.
But he cannot delegate it to
someone. You get it? As the commander. Like in Nigerian context, the president is the 5-star general.
All right.
He's ahead of everybody. All of them are answerable to him. The chief of defense staff, army staff, naval staff, air, and also intelligence.
All right.
All of these officers are answerable to the president directly. He is the one having the power to sack them and also having the power to appoint them. They are directly answerable to him. So let me quickly take you. The officer there has not done anything in subordination. Rather, we could even outrightly say the minister abuses the president and commander-in-chief directly, because the person there, he is
a representation
of the commander-in-chief in uniform, an officer who is directly answerable to the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
All right.
He's a naval officer, a lieutenant for that matter. But you could now see from the action of the minister did not just intimidate him, but he abused him, calling him a fool. Went ahead to say,
and that is tantamount to calling the president of the Federal Republic a fool.
When going ahead to say, I finished my school when you are in primary school, bringing down the honor of our military. We also saw the video. This guy was so humble enough, was so respectful enough to the minister, even though he is not answerable to the minister. In the military, we have what we call a chain of command. And let me add this to you. The number one officer at the rank who is below the president, which is the chief of defense staff, was called by the minister and gave the phone to the young officer. This was the highest privilege of the young officer, to speak to the chief of defense staff.
So which means that if that young officer probably had never met the chief of defense staff.
It is very possible. And then even after speaking to the chief of defense staff, he still maintained that he received order from above. That is one. And you could see the chief of defense staff could not break the chain of military command to say withdraw. That is one. Two, very importantly, is this guy has anything to protect that order that was given of his boss to defend the boss property. Yes. And he was right. The Minister of Defense, both the state and we have two Ministers of Defense.
The Minister of
the small one, which is the State Defense. Both of them have spoken yesterday that this young man even deserves commendation. That is reality.
Okay.
You get it?
Because of our time.
Yes.
Let us try to pivot a little bit. Let's move a little bit. Let's focus on the FCT for 1 second.
Yes.
I have seen different reports on social media, different reports by news outlets, of the minister of the FCT going around demolishing properties.
Yes.
Now, these people, the ones who are occupying, who have possession of these properties, they claim to have the right documentation. They claim to have paid the right taxes, and the minister of the FCT still went ahead and demolished these places. Does he have the right to do that? And the first question is, does he have the right to do that? Secondly, since these people's properties have been demolished, what recourse is available to these people?
Okay, very importantly, you need to understand the law is very tight and the law is very clear. You see, the minister has right to revoke, but there are law process to do that. One, you are revoking when it is, i.e., on a penalty.
Okay.
People have done what are not supposed to be done,
All right.
i.e., the alienated will explain what is alienation
Yes.
without the consent of the minister.
So, in order to alienate, you need the consent of the minister. That
Yes,
has been established.
yes. Probably some of them did not establish that. Secondly, probably the title they are holding is not a legal title,
Okay.
i.e., it was obtained illegally, or i.e., it was not obtained following the due process of law. I know in the FCT, i.e., the FCT has already on ground a design, a master plan of the FCT. So probably where they are, it was meant for a specific subject matter, for hospital or for whatsoever.
So, overriding public interest.
Yes. So now all of this, the FCT minister could do that and revoke. But in revoking, when you revoke, you give notice.
Okay.
You serve them notice and tell them the reason why you've done this. And when you've done that, and these people refuses to vacate and leave the premises of the land, you now seek redress in a court of law.
Now, quickly, sir, for someone whose title has been revoked, what is the process and the procedure? Now, on the part, what should be done? How should both parties approach it? The minister of the FCT and the person whose title had been revoked.
Okay,
if that had been the case yesterday.
let's take it from the minister's position first. If the minister has done what the law says, i.e., he has revoked, followed the due process, and the person the revocation was done against refuses to vacate the premises, the minister should not resort to self-help. Such as this is the position of the Supreme Court in case of Ojukwu versus the state. Clearly, you need to approach the judiciary, the court. The court is now the one to now give order mandating evacuation, the person to vacate the premises. And in the case of the other party, you are also not to resort to self-help. When such revocation is done against you and you feel it was not done properly or it has not due process
the
of
process
law,
of the revocation,
yes,
which involves
i.e.,
yes,
it was not done for the overriding public interest, i.e., you felt you've not erred in any aspect to amount to being served the revocation notice, or you've not failed in paying your rent or your taxes or whatsoever. These are ways the minister can revoke your
that
title.
can revoke titles.
If any of these you find it not captured, you probably feel it's a politically motivated or whatsoever, you also approach the court to say you are not supposed to lose your title.
Now, quickly, what about people who have lost faith in the judiciary, who have lost faith in the courts and in the system? They believe that if they approach the court, I mean, the crux of the whole conversation has been that go to the court, go to the court.
Yes.
Now, what about people who believe that the courts, I mean, if they had gone to the court yesterday, it's just the same set of people they would meet there. What do you have to say?
We are
to these
not
people?
in an animal kingdom, precisely. This is Nigeria, a democratic sovereign nation. So the reality is you should not lose hope in the court. I am telling you, and I am repeating, if you put the scenario of Ojukwu in place, this could tell you our system is quite doing well. Because Ojukwu, even after whatsoever that happened pre-civil or during the civil war whatsoever, after the post-civil war, this was a post-civil war issue when he was back from exile, as a Nigerian, and then he was now taking over the position of his own property, and
in Lagos.
The ministry is now saying, no, we've taken over, we've revoked your title whatsoever. You could see the court was able to show cause and do justice. So you yourself should not lose hope to the court. As far as you know you have what it takes to recover your title, approach the court. But best thing I will advise to any layman person, a common person who is going to the court, is The court is not a market square. Get a lawyer who is well armed, with facts and law to protect your interests.
And on a final note, a
Yes.
message to the Minister of the FCT.
Yes. To the Honorable Minister of FCT, His Excellency Nyoso Wike, seriously speaking, we're not happy with what happened yesterday. And one is, you need to apologize to the whole of Nigerians, apologize to the president, because the acts of the minister as at yesterday do not portray a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a cabinet of the National Executive Council of the president, or the person who is now discharging the duty of the president under Section 5. And also apologies to the whole entire armed forces, because the weddings, the act, the whole thing exhibited yesterday was an affront to the armed forces entirely. Very importantly, FCT, the Abuja entirely has what we call the civil military. The guard brigade, or what do they call it in military, are the ones safeguarding Abuja
as the federal
capital. This is a seat of power, and the commander in chief, they are protecting the commander in chief. If you could do this too, then every citizen, every jack and dog will now approach our militaries like this
and disregard
and disrespect them. So we don't want this to be you are now open the door for this. You need to apologize, because it was not okay. You are now seeking self-help as of the act you've done yesterday. We do not speak well of a learned person, a lawyer per se. So the FCT minister, for me, in my submission, was totally wrong as at yesterday, and needs to apologize.
The minister was totally wrong.
Yes, the minister was totally wrong, and agreed to error is human. He needs to apologize. That is not act. And very importantly, to conclude, please, there was a video in 2023 or so of Lagos State Governor when an estate was entirely sealed by the police by the order of the AGF and the IG. Lagos Governor came. Everyone who saw this video could see the civility of the Lagos Governor, who is the chief security officer of a state. Remember, Wike is not the chief security officer of Abuja.
The president still is.
The president is still. And the president as the chief security officer is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Wike, the same armed forces he had issues with yesterday.
Thank you. The governor spoke to. UK, this thing would have been resolved so freely yesterday. Wike should have just called the chain of command. You get it? For whatsoever reason, the Navy has authority. The Chief of Defense Staff could have done something, but the national embarrassment was uncalled for entirely. And then remember also, Wike has two colleagues at the National Executive Council, the two defense ministers. He would have spoken to them. They have authority over these people. We have the National Security Advisor, who also have influence in our armed forces, but none was done. He wanted taking, and this shows also that he has been doing this. Yes, resolving to self-help, he has been doing this,
and probably has been getting his way. Yes, thinking that he would have done the exact same.
Yes, exactly. And this is wrong. This is total an affront to our laws entirely. You should have allowed the court. It's easy. Approach the court. You have lawyers. His son is a lawyer also. You are a lawyer. You also have the lawyers in the FCT under you, working under the Federal Capital Territory Ministry. You will have taken them, approach the court, secure an order for enforcement of this. It's very simple.
Well, thank you very much, Muhammad Alfa Muhammad. Now, the message here is very simple and clear. This is not a show for lawyers. This is a show for every single person who feels they do not have an understanding of the law. Now, the message today is very simple. Never resort to self-help.
Yes.
Always ensure that you follow due process.
Exactly.
Whether you be the government, whether you be the citizens, ordinary citizens, no matter what you call it. Never, ever resort to self-help. Approach the courts, get a lawyer. And hopefully, precedent has been set that solutions come. So your case will not be any different. And God bless Nigeria. God bless you.
Amen.
And God bless you too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's a nice time. Thank you very much.